Divine message revealed, 3 miraculous ways God is trying to save you today with heavenly guidance. In the quiet village of Whistlewood, the chapel stood with its ancient stones, a beacon of hope. Whispers of God's presence filled the air, especially when hymns rose up, mingling with the rustling leaves, wrapping around the weary hearts of villagers. Sarah, a devoted mother in her 40s, often sought solace there, but a storm was brewing in her heart. Her beloved husband, Tom, was battling a crippling illness, casting shadows over her family and dimming the light of her faith. One evening, as the sun dipped low, draping the village in a golden glow, Sarah knelt alone in the cool chapel, tears streaming down her face. She felt an undeniable presence, a warmth enveloped her as if a soft hand rested on her shoulder, gently whispering. 3 miraculous ways. It echoed, stirring something deep within her. Trust. Believe. Love. In that sacred silence, she felt the weight of divine guidance. It was as if God himself was revealing a message, stunning and clear. Her heart raced, igniting a flicker of hope amidst her despair. The next morning, Sarah burst into the kitchen, where her children played. "I have received a divine message," she exclaimed. But as she looked at Tom, lying frail and lost on the couch, doubt clouded his eyes. "I've prayed, Sarah," he whispered, his spirit defeated. "But what if there's no answer?" The heaviness in the room thickened, marking the days ahead with unease, yet, the village refused to waver. Prayer circles gathered in the chapel, led by Pastor John, whose voice trembled with fervent pleas for healing. As villagers raised their hands in unity, Sarah felt a surge of strength. They believed. Could it be enough? Signs of improvement surfaced when Tom showed glimmers of hope, laughter escaping his lips, as the congregation erupted in praises that seemed to pierce the heavens. Yet, deep down, uncertainty lurked like an unwelcome shadow. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each passing day, Sarah's faith collided with her desperate efforts to find earthly remedies. Remedies that only left her more disheartened, pulling her away from the divine message she had once cherished. One chill Sunday, the chapel gathered for a special prayer meeting. The air buzzed with anticipation, hearts beat in sync as hope danced among them. Suddenly, lights flickered, and a soft glow enveloped Tom, magnificent and celestial, shaking the doubts loose in the air. Just as Sarah's heart soared, a distant cry shattered the moment. Tom clutched his chest, collapsing in agony, a painful reminder that faith can waver. As the villagers gasped, Sarah knelt, torn by grief, pondering the miracle she had felt. Was it real? She stood on the precipice of hope and despair, her heart racing in the struggle between faith and fear. In that freezing moment, she knew everything hinged on the next heartbeat. Would the divine message endure amidst such peril? The answer remained suspended in the air, unanswered, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. The chapel fell into a hushed silence, thick with tension. As Sarah knelt, the world around her faded, only the sound of her heart beating echoed in her ears. She grasped the words spoken down in her soul, a lifeline amidst the turbulence. Trust, believe, love. Each word felt like a prayer, reaching upward, searching for the promise it held. Pastor John rushed to Tom, his hands trembling as he checked for any sign of life. The villagers, a tapestry of concern and fervent prayers, gathered close, their collective breaths held in reverence. The room felt electric, a crackling pulse of hope fighting against despair. "Lord, let him feel your presence," Pastor John called, echoing the hearts of all who were there. In that moment, something extraordinary happened. A gentle breeze swept through the chapel, stirring the candles as if the very breath of God had entered the room. Light flickered upon Tom's face, casting a heavenly glow, reflecting the battle between life and death. Sarah's heart stuttered, hope intertwined with fear. Could this be the miracle they prayed for? Suddenly, Tom's fingers twitched ever so slightly. Gasps erupted from the villagers. Tom! Sarah's eyes shone with hope, the tears still fresh on her cheeks. She reached for him, cradling his hand, her warmth pouring into him like an unyielding river of belief. Come back to us. She whispered, a prayer wrapped in love. At that moment, a soft voice soothed her soul, urging her to release her fears. The warmth around her intensified, reminding Sarah of the sacred truth she had momentarily forgotten. Tom needed her faith as much as she needed his strength. Trust, believe, love. She repeated each word into the silence, her voice unwavering now. As if in response, Tom's eyelids fluttered open. The moment was still, eternity cradling the fragile strands of faith within it. Sarah, he breathed, words barely escaping his lips, yet filled with more life than she had felt in days. Relief washed over her, a treasure beyond measure, lighting the dimmest corners of her heart. The villagers erupted in praise, their voices harmonizing in a sacred melody. Tears streamed down faces, a mixture of joy and disbelief beneath the vaulted ceiling. Faith surged forth, and it felt as if heaven itself was rejoicing in their unity, but amidst the jubilation, Sarah felt an undercurrent, a reminder of the spiritual battle that had yet to be won. Though Tom had returned, the illness still loomed like a specter, weaving through their lives. The divine message had emerged, yet its interpretation was still unfolding. Lord, what is your will? She prayed silently, her heart in communion with the heavens. Did this miracle mean healing, or was it the beginning of an even deeper journey of faith? As the chapel filled with warmth, a thought pierced through the noise. What if this moment was merely the first step of a more significant transformation? The villagers shared stories of their struggles, their own whispers of faith mingling with hers. Here, in this sacred space, her heart began to yearn for more. Would her struggle for Tom's healing lead them to a greater revelation of God's love? An unfolding journey awaited. The foundations of faith were being laid firm, but the question lingered like a soft echo within her soul: how would they navigate the unknown ahead? As joy filled the air, one truth remained clear: the divine message was alive and vibrant, yet the greatest challenge was still before them. In that golden light of hope, darkness would try to overtake, but God's promise would guide them through, revealing what lay beyond the horizon of their understanding. What deeper miracles awaited those who dared to trust in His plan? The chapel continued to swell with overwhelming emotions. Joy and relief wove a tapestry of hope, while uncertainty lingered in the air. Sarah, still cradling Tom's hand, looked into his eyes, searching for the spark of life that had just ignited. She felt the warmth radiating from him, yet shadows of doubt crept into her mind. What would it take to truly heal him? Pastor John remained close, his face alight with divine amazement. He placed a hand on Tom's shoulder, speaking gently, yet firmly. Tom, God has breathed life back into you. Now, will you allow His Spirit to fully restore your body? Every word he spoke seemed to lift the atmosphere, stirring the faith that had been knitted together among them. Yeah, I'll try, Tom murmured, struggling to sit up. The weariness in his voice masked the fight within him. A collective sigh of encouragement rippled through the congregation as they leaned in, eager for the next act of divine wonder. Sarah squeezed Tom's hand tighter, her heart beating in rhythm with the whispers of hope around them. We'll face this together, she breathed, determination filling her spirit. She knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The illness wasn't banished, not yet. But hope surged like an unbreakable river, promising to wash away fears. Villagers gathered to lay hands upon Tom, joining in prayer, each voice creating a rich tapestry of faith. Sarah closed her eyes and surrendered her worries, letting the chorus of voices blend into a melody of reverence. Lord, you are our healer, our comforter. Each petition became a prayer echoing against the stained glass, the colors dancing like divine promises, and just then, in that moment of unified prayer, a radiant light swept through the chapel once more, encircling Tom. Hearts pounded, and some knelt in awe as others raised their hands toward heaven. It felt as if the very fabric of reality was shifting. Sarah's spirit soared in that brilliance, a beacon of divine positioning and possibility. Tears streamed down her cheeks once again this time, they were tears of gratitude. Suddenly, a woman from the back chimed in with a heartfelt testimony. I once faced a darkness much like this, and God's light showed me a path I never understood. He will guide you, Tom. Trust him. Her words hung in the air, a gentle reminder that many had tread this road before, each trial winding closer to the heart of God. With each word of encouragement, Sarah felt the heaviness of despair lifting. It was a common bond, a reminder that their individual battles were woven together into something grander, a divine narrative of love and trust. She knew now that this journey had become their collective pilgrimage toward understanding, but as Tom began to speak, hope tinged with apprehension crept into Sarah's heart. I saw something while I was gone. His voice wavered, and the chapel fell silent. All eyes were fixed on him, anticipation crackling like electricity in the air. What did you see, Tom? A villager cautiously asked, leaning forward. Sarah held her breath, sensing the gravity of his forthcoming revelation. What message had the Lord revealed in those moments beyond life? As the warmth filled the space, tender yet profound, everyone awaited the discovery that might change everything. And in the stillness, a deeper mystery began to unfold. What had Tom witnessed? What guidance lay just beyond the horizon? Tom took a deep breath, the sound of the chapel fading into a gentle hum, as if the very walls were holding their breath with him. I was in a place, a beautiful place. It felt like home, but different. Pure light surrounded me. His voice was barely above a whisper, and Sarah leaned closer, capturing each word desperately. Visions flashed in Tom's mind, radiant and overwhelming. Each sensation he described felt electric, coursing through the hearts of those present. He took another breath, steadying himself. There were voices, loving voices calling to me. I couldn't see their faces, but I felt their warmth. They told me about love and forgiveness, things I had always wondered. Gasps of wonder rippled through the congregation. Each person grasped onto the thin wisp of hope, as if Tom's experience was a bridge between heaven and earth. Sarah's heart raced. What else? She urged softly, knowing this was more than personal revelation, it was for all of them. They spoke of healing. Tom paused, compassion dawning in his eyes. They wanted me to know that we are never alone, even in our darkest moments. His words resonated, like a gentle wave washing over the weary souls around him. Each heart in the chapel, each struggle laid bare before the Lord, felt acknowledged and validated in Tom's divine revelation. God showed me that the healing journey is not just about getting better, but it's about breaking the chains that bind us. Forgiving those who hurt us and even ourselves for our failures. The power in his testimony surged the energy around them, stirring silent echoes of love and grace. Pastor John nodded, raising his arms wide. Yes. This is the message of hope the world needs. Tom, you just described a love that transforms. A love that does not judge, but embraces. He turned to the congregation, faces illuminated by a divine light. This is our truth, friends. Healing is possible, not just for the body, but for the soul. The room buzzed with shared realization. Tom's vision became a shared prophecy bursting with promise. Grateful murmurs filled the space, tears cascading like rainfall. Each drop carried prayers of healing, of strength, of newfound faith. Tom, what do we do with this? Sarah asked, her grip tightening on his hand. Her heart brimmed with anticipation, guided by divine inspiration. She braced for the answer that might illuminate their next steps, a beacon in their shared journey. Tom looked deep into her eyes, reflecting trembling hope and burgeoning faith. We must live differently. We need to be examples of that love. Show forgiveness, encourage each other, and keep our hearts open. As his words hung in the air, something shifted in the atmosphere, an unseen presence wrapped around them all, igniting a deep yearning for transformation. Rows of hopeful faces met in understanding. A collective spirit breathed recovery into the chapel, as if the very essence of their prayers merged, intertwining lives together through faith, yet, a heaviness lingered. Questions bubbled beneath the surface. If love and forgiveness are the way, how does one start anew without the weight of the past? What true changes would come, and what sacrifices might they have to make? Did Tom's encounter mean there was a deeper purpose behind his struggle? Was healing merely a bridge to something greater? As the congregation slowly erupted in songs of praise, lifting their voices toward heaven, a question lingered in the hearts of all: what would their lives look like if they fully embraced this profound truth that had just begun to unfold? What revelations awaited them on this new path? Tom's heart swelled with a bittersweet blend of hope and uncertainty as he surveyed the faces around him. The transformation was tangible, and yet a deep sense of responsibility weighed upon him. The laughter and songs carried a melody of joy, but he could also sense the unspoken fears, the doubts wrinkling brows and tightening hearts. He knew the journey ahead would not be easy, the call to forgiveness was steep and demanding. "Friends," his voice cut through the jubilant cacophony, drawing attention back to him. "We're being asked to take real steps, not just listen and be moved in this moment. The words of love and healing aren't just gifts, they're a challenge." A hush fell over the congregation. Eyes widened, and many leaned in, caught in the gravity of his sincerity. What are we willing to sacrifice for love? What of our pride, our resentments? To heal means letting go, even of pain we've held close for so long. Sarah squeezed Tom's hand tighter, sensing the weight of his revelation. She nodded, echoing back his energy. "We need to share stories. Stories of our hurt and our healing. When we do this together, we build a community that embodies God's love." Heads bobbed in agreement. Pastor John stepped forward, eyes bright, hands gesturing emphatically. "Yes. Healing happens in community. When we stand together, sharing our burdens, we reflect the very essence of Christ's love. It's through our vulnerability that we find strength." As he spoke, Tom felt a surge of courage. Let us create a space, maybe a weekly gathering where we can be real with each other, share our struggles, and support one another in our journeys. We can pray for one another and witness how God is at work in each of us. He couldn't help but smile as he watched their spirits rekindle, a flame of revival burning bright. A woman in the front row wiped a tear, the gentle light revealing lines of struggle on her face. "I would come," she whispered, "if it means I can finally be free." Others echoed her sentiment, slowly breaking down the walls of their isolation. The shared pain, the humanity of their experiences, poured forth like healing balm over old wounds. "Every heart in this chapel has a voice," Tom declared, his voice ascending with fervor. "Let this space be a sanctuary where we can meet God together. Let us not just hear the call, but embody it." Light flickered across the congregation as laughter and tears mingled, each face showing a mix of apprehension and anticipation. Yet, an unspoken question lingered still: how would they find the strength to rise above fears of the past? Could they really step into the newness that love promised? How would they ensure to keep this light kindled in each other's hearts even when the shadows of their histories loomed large? Emboldened by the bond evolving among them, they began sharing stories of struggle and small victories. Each testimony painted more vivid colors across the fabric of faith, revealing that healing was indeed part of a shared journey. As the last echoes of their words settled, a hush returned, allowing the weight of promises unformed to fill the sacred air. What if true liberation comes not only from within us but also through the hands of our brothers and sisters? One voice breathed, igniting a curious stirring among them. They stood together, united by the potent vision of healing and love, but when would they leap into that unknown? Would the path ahead be as beautiful as the visions Tom had seen? Questions hung elegantly in the air, as the congregation's hearts turned toward the future, eager for the unfolding mystery that lay before them. A soft urgency enveloped the chapel, wrapping around them like a warm blanket. In this sacred moment, they found themselves at a precipice of faith, staring into the vast unknown that lay ahead. Tom looked out at the sea of faces. Some were radiant with hope, while others still carried deep scars. "Let us not be afraid," he exclaimed, his voice rising higher, buoyed by a spirit of conviction. Every story shared tonight is a thread in the tapestry of our collective healing. And with each thread, we weave a fabric that God can use for His larger purpose. A murmur of enthusiasm rippled through the congregation. They were beginning to grasp the wonder hidden within this challenge. Each individual pain, when brought into the light of community, held the potential for transformation. Sarah could feel the energy shift in the room. Imagine the healing that can happen when we gather together. We will pray, we will cry, we will laugh, and we will forgive together. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. One by one, members stepped forward, sharing fears they had hidden. A young man, his voice trembling, spoke of past mistakes that haunted him. An older woman wept for the loss of her spouse. Another brother confided in the group how doubt clouded his faith. Their admissions created a rhythm, a syncopation of human experience that pulled the heartstrings of everyone present. With every story, the chapel glowed brighter. It was as if each word released a calming light, illuminating dark corners of despair. Tom's heart raced. He felt the weight of God's presence. See. Look around. He urged. This is the body of Christ at work. This is how we find the courage to let go. They played a sacred game of vulnerability and strength, revealing their raw humanity. And the more they opened their hearts, the more shackles of secrecy fell away. There was laughter among the tears, a divine dance of grief and joy intertwined. God sees us, Tom reminded his friends. He is here in every story. He whispers to us in our pain and rejoices with us in our salvations. Yet even as the hearts lifted, Tom sensed the tension still there. But healing will take more than just sharing, he cautioned gently. It will take action. Our voices must be backed with steps of faith. What will we do starting now? A silence descended, heavy but charged with potential. The gravity of commitment weighed on them, but in that hush, the Lord's whisper beckoned. The old woman who had shared her sorrow spoke again, her voice stronger now. We can create something beautiful, she began, a service project helping those in our community who are lost. Or we could start small, suggested the young man, emboldened by the spirit in the room. What if we teamed up to lift one another's burdens, even in our day-to-day? The congregation murmured in approval, feeling the seeds of unity sprouting. Each idea became a stepping stone leading them further away from fear and closer to faith's embrace, but there was still a lingering question. How could they sustain this connection? Would they have the courage to face their past and joyfully step into a future infused with love and vulnerability? The path ahead loomed with uncertainty, each step an invitation to deeper understanding. As Tom looked out at the determined faces, he knew they stood at the threshold of transformation, but the question remained, what did God have in store for them next? Would they be willing to embrace the adventure that awaited, and what divine direction would emerge from their gathering? As the murmurs of agreement subsided, the room filled with a holy stillness. Tom felt the weight of anticipation, as if the very air around them vibrated with promise. He glanced at Sarah, who was watching the faces in the congregation, her own heart beating in sync with the collective resolve. "Let us pray," Tom suggested softly. The group bowed their heads, and a sacred hush fell upon them. The crackle of incense filled the air, weaving itself into the fabric of their shared breath, creating an atmosphere ripe for communion. "Lord, guide our steps and open our eyes," he whispered earnestly. "Show us how to take action, and help us lean on one another as we walk this path together." As he prayed, a flicker of light danced along the stained glass windows, casting colors across the floor like a promise of hope. When the prayer ended, Sarah raised her head, her spirit seemingly renewed. "I feel that God is calling us to do something big," she said, her voice steady. "We each have something unique to contribute. It might be time for a project, a community event to bring us all together. We can spread hope beyond these walls." A wave of excitement flowed through the congregation. Tom's heart swelled as he listened to the ideas intermingling in the air: food drives, community gardens, youth mentorship programs. Each suggestion felt like flowers blossoming in the spring, vibrant and alive, but amidst all the enthusiasm, a quiet voice emerged, one of hesitation, yet it carried a weight of experience. It was Jonathan, a member known for his thoughtful silence. "I want to help but I worry," he hesitated. "What if we start strong and then fall apart? I've seen that happen before." A solemnity settled in, reflecting the deepest fears lurking in the shadows of their hearts. Tom nodded understandingly. "That's a fair concern, Jonathan." He paused, sensing the weight of the moment. "But isn't that what we fear when we are alone? When we stand together, we hold each other up. That's what community is for." The old woman, who had initiated the conversation about service, added, "We can make a plan for accountability. If we partner up, we can check in on one another. This isn't just about a one-time event, it's about building lasting connections." Her words ignited a flicker of hope in those present. Tom gazed around the room, watching as some leaned closer to one another, eyes glistening with familiarity and warmth. "Remember," he said, his voice resonating with conviction. "This is about stepping out of our comfort zones. God didn't call us to passivity, He calls us to action. We may stumble, but with Him, we shall rise again." The energy surged back, and a chorus of agreements followed. Yet deep within, Tom still felt the tension of unspoken worries. What if the commitment became overwhelming? What if they could not follow through? In that moment, he sensed a divine presence among them. The atmosphere wasn't just charged with their dreams, it was wrapped in heavenly purpose. "Let's take a week," Sarah proposed. "We can pray individually about what God is asking of each of us and then come back next week to share what we hear." "Wonderful." Tom agreed, excitement bubbling. They all bowed their heads once more, this time to seek guidance on their next steps. As the congregation prayed together, Tom felt an unshakable trust rise in his spirit. God was stirring something profound among them. But a lingering thought hung in the air. What if their commitment led them to unexpected places? What challenges would they face on this journey? As the prayer ended, he knew the adventure of faith was just beginning, and the answers awaited them. The following week arrived, filled with anticipation and a hint of anxiety. Tom found himself seated in the familiar gathering place, the air electric with possibility. Each member entered, their faces illuminated by a mix of eagerness and uncertainty, as if they were stepping onto sacred ground. Tom looked around, noting the palpable expectation that hung like dew on a morning leaf, ready to transform into something extraordinary. "Welcome back," Sarah greeted, her smile radiant and infectious. "I can't wait to hear what God has shared with each of you." Her warmth wrapped around the room, drawing hearts closer together in fellowship. Tom took a deep breath, feeling the presence of the Holy Spirit hovering gently over them. "Let's start off by sharing what we've heard in our individual prayers. The Lord speaks in various ways, and I feel He is guiding us towards something powerful." They formed a circle, and one by one, stories emerged like treasures from buried boxes. Mary spoke first, her voice trembling with emotion. "I felt led to reach out to the lonely in our neighborhood. There's a care home not far from here. They could use visitors, and I want to bring joy to their lives." As she spoke, others nodded, their hearts swelling with compassion. "I want to start a youth group," Jonathan chimed in, his earlier hesitation replaced by a newfound confidence. "I see so many young people searching for direction. I just feel compelled to help them find their way." His words held a quiet strength, resonating with the hope of the future. Tom felt the pulse of the room quicken, excitement buzzing like the wings of newfound hope. Each voice unveiled a piece of a larger plan, a tapestry of divine purpose woven from their individual hearts. Then it was Tom's turn. "I've been thinking," he said, "about how important it is for us to reach past our fears and extend our hands to others. I believe God is asking us to host a community festival, a day where we can invite everyone in and celebrate our collective strengths and stories." Gasps of wonder filled the space as joy bubbled forth, each member reacting to the vision. "We could have booths, food, and activities," Sarah exclaimed, her eyes shining. It would be a chance to connect and bless our community endlessly. Then, in a moment of stillness, a thought crossed Tom's mind, uninvited yet compelling. An overwhelming wave of doubt threatened to crush his passion. What if they faltered? What if their efforts went unnoticed, or worse, rejected? "Tom, what is it?" Sarah's gentle query brought him back, grounding him in the present. I worry what happens if it doesn't turn out as we envision," he confessed, vulnerability flowing through him. "What if we pour our hearts out only to see it fail?" A sacred silence enveloped the gathering. Tom watched as Sarah leaned closer, her voice steady yet soft. "Sometimes in our fear of failure, we forget that God delights in our willingness to try. Every step we take, whether it leads to success or not, is still a step toward Him. He honors that. Can we trust Him with the rest?" Tom felt the truth resonate within him. She was right. Each act of courage took them closer, not only to their community but to God's heart. They were forging connections, even if they stumbled along the way. One by one, each member expressed their resolve to trust in God's plan, embracing the uncertainty with faith. As laughter and commitment filled the air, a sense of divine unity swept through the group. Together, driven by a sacred purpose beyond themselves, they stood on the brink of something profound, but as the meeting conclusion approached, a thought loomed heavy. What were the true challenges ahead? How would they confront the obstacles waiting in the shadows as they stepped forward? With hearts buoyed by hope yet edged with trepidation, they bowed their heads once more. Tom prayed fervently for guidance as a warmth enveloped him, a whisper of celestial assurance. As they finished, a flicker of light danced above, momentarily blinding them with its brilliance. What was it the first of many divine affirmations? Consumed by mystery, they all felt that something sacred was about to unfold. What miracles awaited them on this path the Lord had set before them? In the days that followed, every member of the group felt the stir of anticipation. The community festival was not just a plan, it was becoming a heartbeat for each one of them. Tom moved with a sense of purpose, engaging with local businesses and connecting with families. The excitement in the air felt tangible, as if God Himself was weaving their individual stories into one magnificent tapestry. One sunny afternoon, while setting up a booth at the local market, Tom spotted Mary, who was busy handing out flyers for the festival. Her joy radiated like a beacon, drawing smiles from everyone who passed. Her passion was infectious, igniting something deep within Tom's spirit, a renewed dedication to the calling they had embraced together. As he approached, Mary looked up, her face glowing. "Tom, I connected with a few churches in the area. They want to join us for the festival. Can you imagine? We'll be reaching out even further than we dreamed." Tom felt a swell of hope. "That's incredible. God is really moving among us." They exchanged excited ideas, bouncing thoughts back and forth, envisioning booths filled with community art, laughter echoing from games, and music pulling everyone together, but behind the excitement, undercurrents of doubt still tugged at Tom's heart. What if everything didn't come together? The risk of failure loomed like an unwelcome shadow. Yet Mary's enthusiasm helped quiet those fears, reminding him that this journey was about trust, not flawless execution. That evening, as Tom lay in bed, he prayed fervently. "Lord, help me to focus on you and not my insecurities. Help us to bring your light into the lives of others." Suddenly, an image flashed in his mind, a vision of people gathering, sharing stories, laughter, and hope. And amidst them, a swirling light, like an embrace from heaven. The next gathering of the group was charged with a different energy. As they met, Tom shared his vision. "I believe the festival isn't just for us. It's a direct invitation for our community to see God's love in action." Instead of fear, his voice carried the weight of passion and certainty. Sarah chimed in, "This is about so much more than the fun we'll have. Imagine people feeling the warmth of God in every interaction, every smile shared." The group erupted in encouragement, willing to dive deeper into their plans. Suddenly, an unexpected knock echoed from the door. A stranger stood there, a gentle smile resting on his weathered face. "I heard from a neighbor about your festival," I've been searching for something that feels like hope. His eyes glistened with unspoken hopes and burdens. Tom hesitated, feeling the weight of this encounter. Would you like to join us in planning? The stranger nodded eagerly, stepping into their circle. I want to help. I believe this is a calling. An electric thrill coursed through the room. As they began to brainstorm, laughter filled the air, weaving their hearts closer together. Tom noticed how the stranger's presence brought a new depth to the discussion, drawing out ideas that sparked fervor within the circle. It was as if God was directly orchestrating this moment, an unmistakable reminder that every soul mattered to him, but as plans unfolded, a nervous energy crept in. Would they be able to handle the crowd, the organization, the unexpected hurdles? It loomed like a question mark over their celebration. With every meeting adding layers to their vision, Tom felt the Spirit's reassurance flicker within the light they had glimpsed before, reflecting the warmth of divine promise. This was bigger than just an event, it was the first stepping stone in bringing about change, both in the community and within themselves. Yet, he couldn't shake the thought of uncertainty that lingered. What awaited them when the day finally arrived? Would they rise to the challenge? As they bowed their heads in prayer, the atmosphere thickened with hope and expectation. Tom prayed for strength, for clarity, for the festival to be a conduit for God's love. And once again, that flicker of light illuminated the room. Confirming to all present that divine assurance was at hand, mysteries still lay ahead. What extraordinary transformations awaited them? Would hearts truly open to God's calling? The journey was only beginning. As dawn broke on the day of the festival, Whistlewood shimmered with excitement. The village square, usually quiet and humble, now burst with the vibrant colors of banners and laughter. Tom stood at the entrance, overwhelmed and grateful. He surveyed the preparations, feeling the weight of anticipation in the air, a palpable energy of hope and love swirling around him. Sarah approached with arms full of freshly baked goods, her smile radiant. Look at this crowd, Tom. Can you believe it? He nodded, heart swelling with joy. Faces of friends and strangers mingled, each one drawn by the magnetic pull of community. This was more than an event, it was a celebration of their shared journey. As they began to set up, the first guests trickled in, families holding hands, scouts carrying colorful balloons, and elderly couples smiling with nostalgia. The love that permeated the air felt divine. Tom caught Pastor John eyeing the crowd, his voice rising above the chatter as he called for prayer. Friends, let us open our hearts to God's presence today. Pastor John proclaimed. The villagers formed a circle, hands linked, breaths united in a sacred bond. Lord, bless this day. May your love shine through every interaction and every story shared. With fervent voices, the crowd echoed Amen. And suddenly, the festival erupted in laughter and cheers. Delicious aromas wafted from food stalls, music filled the air, and joyous activities pulled children and adults alike into shared laughter. Songs played, families danced, and smiles brightened even the cloudiest hearts. Tom felt a rush of gratitude wash over him. He watched as Mary conversed with festival-goers, welcoming them with warmth. Jonathan guided youth in games, sparking joy and laughter, while Sarah's baked goods were quickly being devoured, a sweet testament to love and labor. Amidst the joy, he saw a familiar silhouette, a woman, trembling as she approached the booth. It was Martha, a neighbor known for her silence. She'd lost her husband last year, and sorrow had woven its way into her heart. I haven't felt like this in ages, she said, tears glistening. Thank you for inviting me today. Tom reached for her hand. You are always welcome to join us. Today is about healing together, sharing both joys and struggles. Martha nodded, and as she joined the circle, Tom felt hope ripple through the crowd. Hours passed, and the festival pulsated with stories and laughter. People shared their burdens and blessings, filling the air with heartfelt revelations of struggle mingled with testimonies of triumph. It became a tapestry of human experience, and Tom realized healing was unfolding before his eyes. Even as the sun began to set, a whispering breeze brushed against them, carrying sacred promises as shimmering lights twinkled overhead. Tom took a moment to represent the communal energy in prayer, feeling God's presence suffuse the gathering. Lord, we thank you for this day. May we carry the love we've found here back into our lives, and may we never forget the hearts we've touched. In that moment, a miracle happened. The collective spirit of the villagers rose in a crescendo of voices. They shared promises to support each other, to walk with one another through trials, and to be beacons of hope. Tom looked around, witnessing vulnerability evolving into strength, fear replaced by love. As the last notes of music filled the air, a soft glow enveloped the square. Tom's heart felt light, his worries evaporating like morning dew. They had stepped out in faith, and God's confirmation was clear. Their journey had just begun. Each individual left the festival transformed, ready to live out the divine message they had received: trust, believe, love. The words echoed in Tom's heart, a lifelong journey of embracing each moment as an opportunity for connection, support, and love. The festival was not just an event that day, it was a manifestation of God's glory, alive within the hearts of those gathered. Tom exhaled, overcome by endless gratitude. He knew they would face challenges ahead, but together, as a community, grounded in faith, they could conquer anything. The beautiful truth was unfolding before him. They were never alone. God's eternal light would guide them. Through laughter and tears, they would heal together, holding on to the promise of love. The journey of faith awaited them, and as they departed under the starlit sky, each heart brimmed with hope. If you felt the pulse of this story in your heart and yearn for more testaments of faith and love, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for the journey of transformation and divine guidance. Leave a like to help the message spread and touch more lives. Share your reactions and testimonies in the comments below. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this beautiful manifestation of faith. Let us light up the world together.